Rebecca Martin adjusted her collar one last time as the elevator ascended to the top floor of Ashford Dynamics, one of the most prestigious firms in Chicago. The mirrored walls reflected the nerves in her warm brown eyes, but she held her chin high. At 35, she had built a career in marketing with a reputation for creative innovation and data-driven success. Today, she was interviewing for the role of director of marketing, a position she hoped to earn entirely on her own merit. No favors. No shortcuts. Not even from her husband. Because what no one in that office knew was that Rebecca Martin was married to Nathaniel Ashford, founder and CEO of the very company she was about to interview with. She had applied under her maiden name, Collins, deliberately choosing not to disclose her connection. Rebecca didn't want any whispers of nepotism. She wanted to prove herself. The elevator chimed. Executive offices, the automated voice announced. Rebecca stepped out, heels clicking against the marble floor, and approached the receptionist. "I'm here for the 10 a.m. interview for the marketing director position," she said with a confident smile. The receptionist, a young blonde woman with glossy hair and an expression that flickered briefly with disdain, looked her over from blouse to shoes before typing something on her keyboard. "Name?" "Rebecca Collins." "Have a seat," the receptionist said, her voice indifferent. "Someone will be with you shortly." Rebecca took a seat in one of the modern chairs and rested her leather portfolio on her lap. She watched the flurry of designer shoes and tailored suits pass by, each person moving with purpose. A deep breath steadied her. She was qualified for this. More than qualified. She just needed them to see that. "Miss Collins," the receptionist called. "They're ready for you." Rebecca followed her down a long hallway lined with floor-to-ceiling windows. At the end, a tall glass door opened into a sleek conference room with a commanding view of Lake Michigan. Four executives were seated around a polished table. "Please, have a seat," said Marcus DeVries, the HR director, his voice measured and polite. To his left sat Eleanor Grant, the stern-looking COO. Next to her was a man Rebecca didn't recognize, and at the far end, lounging casually, was Carter Reynolds, the VP of Marketing. Rebecca introduced herself and handed over her portfolio. "Collins, is it?" Carter said, flipping open the folder without really looking. "What makes you think you're qualified for this role at Ashford Dynamics?" Rebecca smiled professionally. "I have over 15 years of experience leading successful marketing campaigns. My work has increased client revenue by over 30% on average. I combine analytics with creativity, and I've led teams in both boutique and competitive firm environments." "Where did you get that blouse?" Carter asked suddenly, eyes fixed on her shirt. "Bargain bin special?" Eleanor barely suppressed a smirk, disguising it with a cough. Rebecca's cheeks flushed, but she kept her voice steady. "It's not about the clothes," she said. "It's about the results." "We reviewed your resume," Marcus cut in. "Small companies. Not exactly Ashford caliber. Those firms gave me diverse, hands-on experience. Last year, my campaign for Lunotech increased their market share by 15%. Carter scoffed. "Lunotech? Please. Not exactly a major player." Rebecca maintained her composure. "With the right strategy, even emerging companies can disrupt markets. I see similar potential in your smart living initiative." Eleanor tilted her head. "You did your research?" "Extensively," Rebecca replied. "Your current marketing doesn't target tech-forward families, the very audience most receptive to smart home solutions." Eleanor looked intrigued for a moment, but Carter loudly cleared his throat. "Let me ask you something, Miss Collins. Do you really think you belong here? In this room? Look around. We represent billion-dollar accounts. You're just not. The Ashford brand." "My results speak louder than image," Rebecca said. Carter picked up his water glass. "Results? I closed a deal with Omnicore for $60 million last quarter. Got anything that beats that? If you turn to page 3. "Oh, she brought homework," Carter mocked. The others chuckled. Rebecca fought the urge to respond. "Miss Collins," Eleanor said, trying to reclaim the tone of civility, "this company projects a certain polish. And yet you're ignoring innovation because of a tire?" Rebecca replied. Suddenly, Carter gestured with his glass, and water sloshed out, cascading directly onto Rebecca's blouse. "Oops," he said with a smirk. "Clumsy me." Rebecca jumped back, the cold soaking through her shirt. She stood there, dripping, as the others watched. "Let me help." Carter said insincerely, not moving. Only Marcus offered a tissue, unable to meet her eyes. Perhaps this is a sign, Eleanor said with fake sweetness. Ashford Dynamics might not be the right fit for you. Rebecca steadied her breath. Accidents happen. Shall we continue the interview? I think we've seen enough, Carter replied, leaning back. We don't hire low-tier talent. Rebecca stared at him. Excuse me? You heard me. We have standards. You mean appearances, Rebecca said, voice tight. Don't take it personally, Carter shrugged. Some people just aren't cut out for the big leagues. Thank you for your time, Marcus said, clearly uncomfortable. Rebecca collected her soaked portfolio and left with her dignity intact. She made it to the elevator, head high. The humiliation stung. But she hadn't come this far in her career to be broken by entitled gatekeepers. She nearly reached the elevator when she collided with someone rounding the corner. Whoa, strong hands steadied her. Becca? Rebecca looked up into the startled face of Nathaniel Ashford. What happened? He asked, his eyes narrowing at her soaked blouse. Before she could answer, Carter and Eleanor emerged, still laughing. They stopped cold. Mr. Ashford. We weren't expecting. Nathaniel raised a hand. Rebecca, what are you doing here? I had an interview, she said calmly. For Director of Marketing. Nathaniel looked between her and the dripping blouse, and understanding dawned. An accident, Rebecca said, her tone clipped. Nathaniel's jaw tightened. He turned slowly to Carter and Eleanor. My office. 10 minutes. Bring Marcus. As whispers rippled through the office, Nathaniel led Rebecca away. In his spacious corner office, he held her hands. You okay? I didn't tell you because I wanted to earn it. I didn't want to be hired because of you. You shouldn't have had to deal with this. She told him everything. By the end, Nathaniel's face was stone. 10 minutes later, the three executives entered, visibly shaken. Sit, Nathaniel said. He stood beside Rebecca, arms crossed. 15 years. That's how long I've built Ashford Dynamics on values, respect, integrity, innovation. And yet I find executives mocking candidates, judging by appearance, not merit. We didn't know she was your wife, Eleanor said. That makes it worse. You thought this was acceptable behavior to anyone? You called her low tier? Spilled water on her. Carter stammered. It was a joke. You embarrassed this company. You embarrassed me. Rebecca stepped forward. You dismissed my qualifications before even hearing them. That tells me all I need to know. Nathaniel nodded. HR is finalizing your severance packages. Your access will be revoked by end of day. You're firing us? Carter asked, stunned. I'm restoring the culture we stand for. Get out. Security escorted them out. As the door closed, Rebecca turned to her husband. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did, he replied. You deserve better. They won't forget this, and neither will I. Rebecca smiled. She hadn't earned the job through her husband, but she had earned his pride and reminded an entire company what real class looked like.